Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zabi here, back again with Hunter Hunter. We are on episode 91, not 81. And in the last episode, we are in the middle of the fight with Gon and Knuckle and Killua and Shoot. And at this moment in time, Killua's sort of having a battle within himself. Whether or not to be cautious or to kind of break through that and sort of become his own man kind of thing, because it's sort of holding him back. In a way, so yeah, we're in the middle of both of those two fights. We've got Gon with the fucking weird interest thing, and we've also got Shoot with the three hands and the weird cage thing, which I believe that's where Killua's eye's being held, because at the moment he doesn't have his left eye, right? So I think that's what that is. So yeah, we'll basically just get straight into it, because I'm running a bit low on time, so I need to get through this, and basically at the end of the after the reaction, when I do all the discussion and stuff, if I speed through it, I'll just I'll talk about whatever it is that I didn't get to in episode 92 discussion, okay, because I'm in a bit of a rush, so yeah, as you can tell. Anyway, so without further ado, we're just going to get in episode 91 and see if we get. So without further ado, let's go. Well, shit. King's here. Fucking Jesus. The whole point and the whole goal of the thingy squad, whatever the hell you call them, they were supposed to, the mission was to basically get there and kill the queen before the king was born. And now that's out of the fucking window. Now I don't know what to do. Because the king's the fucking strongest. I'm sure the king is probably the strongest being that we've seen in the show so far. I have no doubt in my mind that is the case. And it's not particularly going to matter, like, by saving the queen and bringing her back, it's not like she's like anything special compared to the likes of the king and the royal guards, right? Like, I don't even know in a full-up fight if the queen's any good for anything other than just being like, like the sort of the motherly, giving birth and keeping like everything in check. I don't think she's like a fighter or anything like that. So I don't know what the fucking, I feel like the only reason they're bringing her back, as Colt said there, that it would go, like the soldiers would go out, reproduce and destroy ecosystems. So that's an interesting sort of thought that the Chimera ants have, that it's not like, I guess it's not a case of them taking over the world then, because then you would be destroying ecosystems and shit, right? It's because it seemed like they had no. It seemed like with their ideology, it was never a thought in their mind of destroying ecosystems. I thought it was just a case of like they're spreading their influence to become the dominant species in the world. Although I suppose they need the ecosystems to keep, but eventually it's just going to get to a point where. Yeah, eventually it would come to an end, right? It's like you can't just keep that up forever the way they go on, surely. But it seems like that's why they want to bring back the queen anyway. But I don't know. I don't see how any good can come of that. Because what's to stop them from doing it again? I don't know if really. I know they have thoughts in their own head from what they were born from by being eaten. But I don't know to what degree they actually feel indebted to somebody, because some of them just have one-track minds where they don't really care. So I don't know, but it was a forced birth, and because of that, the queen is it's affected her. I believe that the king is primarily Pockle, it seems. Now with the soldiers and stuff, and they get these sort of urges, or they carry on the same sort of will as the previous, what they were before. I don't know if that really works for the same as the royal guards and the kings and whatnot. Like where they're at a point with so much power that it doesn't really matter, and it kind of just overpowers that anyway. Because it looks like them for starters, like the expressions are very similar, and I think it's the same voice actor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds very similar to me. If so, that's pretty cool. It's like a cool way of just keeping on the voice actor, And now with them sort of being the king, it's a more prominent role kind of thing. But just correct me if I'm wrong on that. I have a feeling Colt will end up revolt I think Cold will revolt. I think he will, because I had the theory before of like how I think that with them getting their own, like, some of them getting their own independence and stuff and going off and doing their own thing, I felt like eventually it would probably come to a head where at some point they would be fighting in amongst, and I feel like it's coming to that point now. But we'll see how that goes. What else? Yeah, they're back to killing kids again, so thank you, show, for that. The king actually did try killing Neferpito. That's crazy. So that just basically, it's showing her, her aptitude and adeptness and fucking her full-on strength to be able to take that, and it didn't even take off her head. So yeah, I mean, not that we really needed it anyway, because he took out Kite, although he was one arm, like, he only had one arm, so there's that. But still, we kind of already knew. I'm surprised to see Ramot come out the woodwork there to kind of go with the other lot. Though I feel like probably at this point he probably feels like he doesn't have any place among the king and the royal guards, so he would just die anyway. So maybe that's just it. I just thought he had like this real thing for like Neferpito, but there's that. Yeah, the soldiers can reproduce. We got that little tidbit which hadn't been mentioned before. Previously it was like the king does it, right? And that's how they spread to different hives and stuff to create new queens. Because I think the king reproduces with another like life form, and then that creates a queen, and then that queen goes and does what this queen was just doing, but somewhere else. And then you would just have them all over the world, right? But if soldiers can do it, I don't know if it's to the same degree. I don't know if a soldier was to reproduce with someone that would make a queen. Maybe that's what they were talking about, how it would ruin the ecosystem because it wouldn't work as well. Like, maybe like if a soldier was to reproduce with a human, what the fuck would come out? I don't know. It's interesting as well. I wonder if the queens are the only ones that actually look like ants. I wonder if that's a thing. Because the queen was the only one that actually looked like a fully grown ant, like a proper, So I don't know, maybe. Yeah, Gon and Killua ended up losing. We just didn't see the end. We saw like a little bit with Gones, but not with Killua. Maybe we'll get some flashbacks on Killua in the next episode or something like that. It's just to see what was going on, what ended up happening. I imagine that Killua lost because he was fighting a battle within his own head more than he was actually fighting the fight with Shoot. And Gon, I just feel like, I feel like the fight with Knuckle was because he had this insurance thing going on. Or this tax, I should say. It basically put a time limit on the fight that Gon could go to. I feel like it sort of chained him down to that time limit so that he could never stop. I mean, you saw him in the flashback there. He was winding up one of his Jajan Ken attacks, and I don't know. We didn't get any information on that, whether or not because I could see if we watched the fight that would have been a similar thing to when he fought Knuckle before, and he did the emitter or the paper power thing, right? And then get behind him to attack him again. I feel like it would have been similar, like a similar thing. When Gon did it the first time, it's because he ran out of juice and he collapsed. The second time, judging by the flashback there, wouldn't surprise us if Gon would have had it, but it went over the 10k mark and that's it. It was done. So yeah, and of course, yeah, we had Gon, in tears, and then Killua in tears as well. It's interesting because, I mean, I've always said I like the sort of, the sort of the relationship between these two's great. I love it. I've said that throughout the show. It's one of the best things about the show, actually. And it's because of Killua's sort of admiration for Gon. And it's like Killua never really, he's not crying for himself, he's crying for his friend, because it's like he wants Gon to succeed more than him, You know, like I think like Killua almost sees himself as a support character for Gon in a way. You know, but I think that's what you need. That's probably got to do a lot with what he needs to do by getting away from this caution thing, being cautious and whatnot, and being his own guy and seeing it that way. You know, and not just being like a conscious or a conscience kind of thing on Gon's shoulder, telling them when to do stuff and when not to, kind of thing. You know. So we'll see what happens with that. I think the cat mascot thing that's on Gon's shoulder will be the Zetsu thing, right? That keeps them in that state for the 30 days and then probably disappears, right? I was wondering what it was, but yeah, I guess that's what it is. And then Killua basically saying that he will defend Gon for the 30 days, which is, you know, I love that, because, you know, I was wondering like, shit, he has to fucking leave because he lost, right? But the fact that, you know, I just like the fact that he's staying behind for the 30 days to protect him, because Gon just wouldn't be able to protect himself otherwise. You know, so yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, that's basically all I've got for episode 91. I said it was a bit of a rush, so yeah, sorry for the quick sort of discussion, but that's all I got. So thank you for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so if you want any information regarding my content, you can get yourself over there. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week, as opposed to the general public that usually gets 2 every week. So by the time this episode comes out on YouTube, you can go over, become an early access tier patron, and have access to possibly the rest of the show and reactions. So if you can binge watch the whole thing within a month, it's only going to cost you $5 for the rest of the show. So it's a pretty good deal. There's also $10 there for full length, and that doesn't matter for this show, but for other shows you will need it. And then there's other tiers there where you can pay to have certain shows reacted to as well. So if you want me to react to a certain show, then go have a look and see what that's all about. But that is all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.